Salute, salute everyone. The streets are buzzing. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's well. Let's get ready to chop this thing up. Salute to the chat. Salute to Knicks Nation out here on this Tuesday night. Hope everyone's doing well. Well, Monday night in the US. The Knicks made some moves. We'll chop it up. We'll talk about the latest going on in this off-season and dissect what's next, what's coming up, what can we foreshadow, and have a great conversation tonight with the best fan base in the biz. Salute to everyone. Hope you're well. Hope you had a great weekend, and get ready to start this week on the right foot. And the Knicks made a move, a couple of moves actually, to make way for another signing, Dylan Windler, the 6'7" wing from Cleveland. Cleveland waived their former first-round draft pick, so Dylan Windler signs the two-way deal with the Knicks. The former 26 pick in the 2019 draft, another wing. This guy's a bit more ready-made, NBA ready. But he's going to be on the two-way. It's going to be his fourth year in the league, which would normally have a player ineligible to sign a two-way deal. But because his rookie year was void, basically, so he's eligible to sign one more year on a two-way, and the Knicks pounced. The Knicks obviously have connections in the Cleveland front office, formerly Brock Aller, the capologist with Cleveland. Won't be surprised if Brock Aller, had a part to play in this. The other two-way signing last week was Nate Knight, the power forward coming out from Syracuse, another ready-made guy in terms of had a lot more NBA reps than your, traditional two-way guy. So, I'm noticing a trend that the Knicks are definitely trying to stock up some players of in positions of a need, guys who have played minutes in the NBA, have a clear skill set that this kind of roster has needed, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, the Knicks definitely needed a wing. Dylan Windler is a shooter, can definitely stroke it. Coming out of Belmont, he was shooting above 40%. So the story on his NBA career has been that of injuries and frustration, to the point where the Cleveland Cavaliers had like in fact, they had a $5 or $6 million qualifying offer, and they did not want to commit. So they pulled the qualifying offer on a Dylan Windler, a sunken cost for them, a 26th overall draft pick, like we said in 2019. But the man has a clear skill set. He's got the size the Knicks need at the wing, and good signing from what I'm seeing so far. We'll chop up with the chat in terms of what he could bring. But yeah, guys that are on the two-way that can contribute a little throughout the regular season, that ain't a bad thing at all. Dylan Windler didn't really factor into the playoffs at all. Obviously, when the Knicks played, he's still got some developing to do. But in terms of the regular season, it doesn't hurt to have another shooter, another wing, for that this team needs a bit of extra size. Now, he ain't known as a defender at all. I got to look into it a little more. He's obviously not coming in as a plus defender. I think at minimum we can hope that he could be solid at that end. But we don't know how many more minutes they're going to get. But in terms of what I said about a trend, I think the Knicks stocking up with Nathan Knight, now Dylan Windler. They've pulled the offer for Dwayne Washington Jr. So he's no longer on a two-way. So they need to make one more cut. Got the question mark there. If I had to take a guess, I think it's going to be Trevor Keels. Jalen Martin is freshly inked. They already said they committed to a Jalen Martin for a few years, and see how he can develop. Nathan Knight was a freshly inked. The ink's barely dry on that signing. So, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to cut him. And of course, Dylan Windler signing today. So, I don't know, connect the dots, fam. You guys let me know. But salute to the chat, salute to replay gang. Smash that like button, subscribe. The streets are buzzing this off season. What else are we going to talk about tonight? Well, we're going to be talking about, like I said, what's next in this off season, this crazy off season. Um, the talk around, there's a podcast on ESPN, the Hoops Collective. Tim Bontemps spoke about his candid thoughts about Donovan Mitchell and Spider. Him feeling Spider's not going to commit in Cleveland. I've been talking about it for a long time. Now we'll talk about it more tonight. Is Spider Mitchell really the next realistic star that we can expect with, of course, the Leon Rose connections and all of that stuff? Also, Joel Embiid, that talk continues. The connections with Leon Rose, you see him buddy with Brunson. There's images with Randall, Barrett. The whole NBA fraternity is on a pause right now with this James Harden thing. But this affects the Knicks in so many ways because the Philly are in the Knicks division. The overs and unders of coming out through Vegas. We'll talk about the power rankings, where the Knicks currently project. But if the Knicks don't make too many moves, I think we're right there with Philly anyways. But Philly are about to implode, if they don't get a quality package for a James Harden. So we'll talk about that and what awaits, with Joel Embiid. But of course, one of our own homegrown, Quentin Grimes, was announced to be in the USA select team, joining former once a Knick, always a Knick, John Jenkins, who seems like he never ages. He's always on that select team, along with Langston Galloway as well, Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham, Grimes, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Naz Reid, Keegan Murray, Trey, the other Murray, and some other players as well, which is great for Quentin Grimes to get this opportunity. But it's a salute to his hard work where he is in the league right now. He's recognized as a young up-and-comer. So, yes, salute to him for putting in that work as well. Salute everyone in the chat. What are your thoughts on this latest roster situation with Dylan Windler and where the roster sits right now? The other thing I'll note is now the Knicks are, stocking up these two ways. The Fournier move, the consolidation move, I think is something to watch in terms of the likeliness of the next move to come. Either that or the Trevor Keel situation. It might even happen while we're live tonight, as the Knicks have just announced that they've, withdrawn the cut Dwayne Washington. So that was also a make-do-good offer for Washington. They gave him the 75K guaranteed money, I think, and he might come into camp still, but currently, and play with Westchester. But currently, he's on no NBA contract right now. So we've got Windler, a wing. We'll talk about Nathan Knight, his impact. A lot of Minnesota Timberwolves fans were pretty complimentary of Nate Knight and his ability to make the most of his NBA minutes when he's come in. He plays hard. He's kind of that bully to the bucket, a roll man that can stroke it. He can stroke the three ball, which is great. It's exactly what we need. So I like that. I like that signing. Now, is he going to be a guaranteed backup for? Well, that remains to be seen. I think Leon Rose is creating this, what we see, this picture on screen. It's going to be a competitive camp. I don't think, and I tweeted this out, I think the Knicks roster, marginal roster moves are far from done. I think we're going to wait to see what some other teams around the league do. Wait for them to make some roster cuts. We talked about Oklahoma. They've got to cut. They've got a lot of bodies. They need to cut some potential NBA ready guys. So I think, the Knicks are making some moves on the margins. We'll talk about what bigger moves, what's next. But don't be surprised if there's more movements on the margins. Isaiah Roby, he might be cut after camp. He might be given that opportunity. Evan Fournier, the big one. It seems like the Knicks are, are probably going to be open to finding him a new home just to help him out. What that deal is going to look like, I got no idea. I think, the San Antonio one makes sense. He spoke about that in the article interview with the French media outlet L'Equipe. So he obviously recognizes, there's an opportunity in San Antonio. You got Vic Wembanyama, going to be a big rookie year. There's going to be a lot of stress, scrutiny on him, and a veteran mentor like a Fournier would be nice. But yeah, salute to the chat, everyone out here. Appreciate you coming through. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new as well. We got you covered for all the Knicks content. There's also an opportunity coming up with the FIBA World Cup as well. So stay tuned for some more content coming, and some hopefully some bigger news that I can drop relating to the FIBA World Cup. But salute to everyone. Mike says Nathan Knight looks like an RJ meets Jermaine O'Neal remix. I like the creativity for that. You get a 10 out of 10, Mike, for that. Yeah, who knows what he ends up being with the Knicks, but great guy to take a flyer on a two-way. I like our last two-way signings. Well, the Jalen Martin one I like. We talked about that in Summer League, but he seems like more of a 2 years away from being 2 years away kind of thing, fam. But these other guys, Windler and Nate Knight, could be dudes if an injury happens. I've got no doubt, based on what I've seen and based on what I heard from their fan bases, and they've been in the league for a few years, and they can step in and give you spot minutes. Definitely can give you spot minutes. So that's something that is worth noting. So the Knicks leaning more towards more NBA ready guys in the event that there's a larger trade down the line. Now, what's next? Right? We talked about it in terms of a possible trade deadline move coming. The Knicks look like they're going to run it back in terms of major rotation guys. So what's next then? We'll start the season. I guess you monitor the progress. You got to see what happens with the James Harden thing. There could be a huge bomb drop late in the offseason before training camp. But all things aside from that, it looks like the Knicks will run it back into the season with this roster we got. But a possible trade deadline move is still to come. Cleveland got to assess where they're at. We say this with our guy EJ. Salute to EJ, who's on his grind, but he's going to come through, link through soon. And we got some guests lined up later in the week as well, so stay tuned. But in terms of the deadline moves, it could be something worth watching with Cleveland. And we'll play the tape with the ESPN Hoops Collective pod in terms of Tim Bontemps' thought on Spider, which has been one of the worst kept secrets. Basically, it's not even a secret anymore. I think, me personally, I think Cleveland have to go real far to solidify a future with Donovan Mitchell, and even that's on shaky ground because let's face it, guys, we always know the food tastes better at home. Your bed, your home city, nothing just feels the same as that. You get the opportunity to earn the same, do the same job, but in your home city, all things are the same. You're going to pick your home city, especially when it's a family connection out there. So I think the clock's ticking with Donovan Mitchell. This Embiid thing's going to get spicy and dicey in terms of having to give up assets, having to deal with that shark Daryl Morey, all of those, factors outside of our control. But what might be in our control is a Spider Mitchell. That could still be in our control. We got to wait to see with that one, man. But yeah, New York fam knows, right? It just nothing feels the same when you get back with fam and you get in that situation. So yeah, he's professional. I think Spider Mitchell is gonna, play out this season. But let's see. With that, let's shout out some more people in the chat. Yeah, Mel Bester says Fournier after this season with his team option is a free agent. They got cap space, extend Hart, draft a power forward, and try to get McCall or Donovan next off season and keep the rest. Yeah, you hit on a few things that have got to happen. We got to extend Hart and the Emmanuel Quickly situations coming through too. So that's big. Sherwin likes the length of Windler. Dirty salute. Trevor Keels. Yeah, it looks like the next marginal move to come. I'm all for anything that means no Keels. Yeah, I think that's going to be the more difficult one for the Knicks because they use the draft pick. You know, cutting Dwayne Washington is a different decision to make versus a dude who you use the draft pick on. But I think the Knicks have been patient enough with Trevor Keels. Really, this is a cutthroat business, and let's do the right thing. I think and bring in dudes that can help us the most. Jay Boogie in the house. Salute. Jay Boogie been out there on the streets looking at the pro-am circuit. He's been out there grinding, dropping tracks in the studio. Appreciate you, Jay Boogie. Hopefully you get to chat soon. I love the new two-way signings. Get Roby and Travis out of there. Salute, 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 says Jay Boogie. Health, happiness, blessings to everyone out here watching. Appreciate you, Knicks Nation. The streets are always buzzing. Yeah, I love the two-way signings too. The two new two-way signings. That was a tongue twister. Yeah, and we'll break down their games a little bit. But what do they both have in common? They've both had NBA reps. Like I said, Dylan Windler is basically ineligible for a two-way. The Knicks were only able to get him for 1 year based on the rookie year being a wash. So he's had reps. He can shoot the three. Nathan Knight, same thing. Nathan Knight is that bully too. So yeah, the couple highlights on screen with Dylan Windler. You guys let me know. Have you made any observations with Dylan Windler in terms of what you've seen around what he's done with Cleveland? I think he's able to put the ball on the floor as well. If we do get rid of Fournier, another guy who can floor space and hopefully a better defender, tougher and longer as well. 6'7". You see the ball there. Good alley-oop to Mobley, I think. But yeah, it comes from a winning team at least. We're signing a guy who was in a winning program too. So that's worth noting. Buzzer salute. Let's get it. Appreciate you, Drip Moore. Jay Giant. Geraldine in the house. Knicks won today. Sharp Powers. Hulu. Breaking Bad. Gerard. Showing, as I mentioned before, what do you guys want to see us do next? Now that we've filled these two ways, look out for the Keels possible cut. Evan Fournier move. Like I said, Daquan Jeffries and Isaiah Roby, I don't think their roster spots are guaranteed or safe at this stage. They are currently on a roster spot though that has to be guaranteed in terms of after camp. But yeah, really looking forward to the FIBA situation with Quentin Grimes too. Now let's touch on what's happening with the Spidey Mitchell conversation that went down. Now I'm gonna get this up on the screen so we can chop it up. And basically, yeah, that's going to be a situation that's going to be a big distraction throughout the year. So I'll get this thing up now. I'll get the audio up.
But this is kind of a make or break year for the Cavs. Do you think he signs an extension right now?
I think there's
Not
no
this
chance
year.
he signs. I don't think there's
No.
any chance he signs the extension there ever. And if it was up to me, I would trade Donovan Mitchell today because I don't think the Cavs are getting as far as they hope to next year. And I don't think he's going to extend. And I think they'll get a lot more for him with 2 summers left than they will with 1 summer left.
I'll pause it right there. I don't think he's wrong at all, man. I think, I don't think the organization's going to do it because, they made that all-in move. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. See what you can get for Spider. Maybe that is that deadline move.
Now, I also am fully aware that's not what they're going to do. And I understand why they're not going to do it because you perfectly laid out, I think, McMahon, what their thought process was making the deal and where they sit. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. But me personally, looking at it, I think it's more likely they lose in the first round than they win 2 rounds. And in that scenario, I don't really see any world where Donovan Mitchell wants to stay there after next season. And to me, I'd be looking at it now and saying, all right, well, if we flip him for a bunch of stuff now, we can start to figure out exactly the kind of team we want to have around these 3 guys and put ourselves in as good a position as possible 3 or 4 years from now to contend. Now, I understand anybody thinking otherwise.
Fall when Donovan doesn't extend. And I'm sure he'll get asked about it at media day, and I'm sure he'll have a very good answer and maybe even a hedge answer. And that'll be interesting, but he knows how to handle these situations before. He handled it before in Utah. I don't expect him to make any proclamation. I expect him to kick the ball down the field.
Yeah, we have it. Kick the ball down the field, be that pro. No doubt about it, I think. But yeah, either way, I think that's the situation that's going to boil over, and especially with the Joel Embiid situation, right? You guys let me know. Would you be happy completing this puzzle with a Donovan Mitchell, Joel Embiid situation? 2 dudes heavily connected to the Knicks, and especially with Joel, that is, a connection that's long been the Knicks' target. Now we wait to see what happens with the James Harden move, but a package for all Embiid. I'm seeing a lot of people mention they wouldn't be happy going all in. He's 29, turning 30. There is those injury concerns, especially in the postseason for a Joel Embiid as well. We know dealing with Daryl Morey is going to be difficult, even if he is open to trading him within the division. He'd most likely, I would guess, strip it back. It's difficult if you lose Harden, you're about to lose Embiid. I don't think the priority would be winning after that. So that's a key note. You have to recognize that. If they were trying to trade Embiid and be winning immediately, then that'll be requiring a different kind of package. But I think they're going to want all of Knicks' draft picks. They're going to want a couple of the Knicks' best young players, not just one. It's probably going to be a couple. And then that's even if he's open, to the division, trading him within the division to the New York Knicks. We'll talk about some other franchises who I think can put together some excellent packages. I think Orlando can, obviously Oklahoma. People are gonna, mention why would he want to go to Oklahoma? That's never been a deterrent for a team, to trade for someone. Toronto were clearly told to never trade for Kawhi Leonard, and Masai Ujiri did it anyway. On that note, Masai Ujiri could be a dude that wants to get his, hands on a fellow, overseas, a fellow international guy, and I could see Masai Ujiri trying to get in on that as well. Maybe even dangle Scotty Barnes in that deal. So package for package, it's not just the Knicks that could put together an elite package. It would require a dude like Embiid to probably get aggressive. Now, Damian Lillard is getting a lot of, heat for no uncertain terms, no pun intended. He's getting a lot of heat about, his aggression towards wanting to get to Miami. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to do it. James Harden did it successfully. Ben Simmons did it successfully. Donovan Mitchell, one of the reasons he might not be a Knick right now is because maybe he wasn't as aggressive, as he could have been. So, the Knicks, it's never stopped us before. There's going to be that tampering talk also. but I don't think, it should hold anyone back, right? This has been a 51-year title drought. If Embiid is our guy, Leon Rose, this is your legacy. If Leon Rose can get Joel Embiid as a New York Knick with Jalen Brunson, he'll be hands down the best executive the Knicks have had in decades. In terms of just getting those two guys in. If he gets a Donovan Mitchell as well, we wait to see how that looks like too. But yeah, my thoughts are I would, obviously welcome Embiid, but for the right trade, for the right price as well. Everything's got to be the right price. And I think Leon Rose is patient at the moment, a little too patient in some ways. People are waiting. But the reason they haven't done the Paul George thing is they stepped away. Paul George, was interested in being a Knick, but he, spoke of the $220 million contract extension, and that scared the Knicks away. He's obviously post 33 years old, so the Knicks want to go a little younger. They would love to do a Paul George a 2-year run, but not the extension, from what I'm gathering in terms of the PG situation. So yeah, the Leon Rose is trying. He wanted the Paul George thing, but the price wasn't right. He backed away. OG Anunoby really isn't available. You guys, that really are big fans of OG. I'm really big fans of OG. I think that's a really good move. That makes a lot of sense. That's not the all-in move, but the move to help the Knicks get to that next level, Eastern Conference Finals contention. I think OG is that guy, but he's simply not available right now. A great podcast, great report from Jake Fisher, Yahoo Sports, went into detail about how frustrating the Toronto front office is to deal with. And this is around the whole NBA. This wasn't anything to do with the Knicks' perspective. This was the whole NBA is frustrated with Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri for straight trying to be hustlers, trying to hustle teams for too long. And you know what? Other GMs are getting sick of it. So, make of that what you want. But relationships around the league are key. The Knicks have been, open about discussions and willing to try to get deals done. But there's a firm price that Leon Rose, the front office, is willing to pay, and they're backing away. Now, Zach LaVine is the other guy. Zach LaVine is the other dude who the Knicks have had discussions with, but again, the Chicago front office has been notoriously difficult to deal with as well, notoriously cheap and notoriously overvaluing their guys. Now, what is Zach LaVine's true value? It's up to interpretation, really. He hasn't been as healthy. He's got concerns, but at the same time, he's got salivating potential for a team trying to contend. So it's kind of like the Chicago front office is pricing him at potential versus what he actually is. Sometimes a spade is really a spade, you know. So I think the Knicks know that too. So they're cautious. They don't want to give up RJ. They don't want to give up quickly. They don't want to give up too much, for a Zach LaVine deal. Because, these two gentlemen on screen, like players will eventually, become more available that we want, that are worth going all in for too. Dirty mentioned also, yeah, Spider has to stop being that nice guy and get forceful with it. I'm okay with it. I think it's time now. Help us out. It's got a counterbalance, fam. The Knicks tax. Other GMs, front offices in the league want to give us a tax, or the players that want to be a New York Knick got to speak with their actions too. To me, the fit with Spider still questionable, but he's a dude worth getting in, and you figure the rest out if you're not giving up too much as well. Obviously, Cleveland would still love some of the Knicks' young pieces, and I think that would help them along with their rebuild and their situation with Garland, with Mobley as well. I won't rule out a deal with Toronto later in the future, but it doesn't look like we're going for Siakam. And like I said, it doesn't look like the OG Anunoby deal is available right now. So what I'm looking at, I think they've, not they've explored the PG move. They're not interested in Karl Anthony Towns at this point, maybe unless Minnesota get real desperate throughout the season. And that's why I've got on screen there the Knicks running it back. What's next? They will start the season. Let's see what happens around the league. Every season got a mind of its own. The next disgruntled guy could really get upset, get fed up, and want ways out. I'm obviously looking at Oklahoma City and seeing how competitive they're going to be, because they've got a lot of dudes, and the time's going to come when they're going to have to pay them as well. So the Knicks could do some nice business going down there. I think Indiana have been pretty aggressive. Orlando, I think if Paolo Banchero comes out the gate and just looks like that bona fide superstar, I think that's going to speed up Orlando's timeline, and they're going to try to maybe pair someone up with Franz and Paolo, or maybe ship Franz and some others to try to get that star in as well. So yeah, teams are going to be watching, as we all do, and we wait to see, man. But salute to the chat. Appreciate you, everyone out here coming along. Salute, contributing to the buzz of this off season. What else did we have that's come through, right? Yeah, so we played the sound bite from Tim Bontemps, and that is really, really wise spoken. What would you guys do if you're Cleveland, right? Just get a deal done now. Call the Knicks and say, look, man, we outbidded you. We know it hasn't kind of worked out at this point. The clock's ticking. Let's talk framework. Let's talk framework and get on the front foot. That's what a good executive does. Don't bury your head in the sand, so to speak. If they can recoup a couple first-round picks, a young player, like they're not going to be that worse off for trading for Spider. What did they give up? They gave up Sexton, Agbaji, and Markkanen. They've already lost out on Markkanen. Salute buzzer beater. I don't want Levine. 100%. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's that defensive wing we really need. I think Jalen Brunson is a very offensive-minded player, ball dominant. Would Levine make us better? Yeah, I think he would make us better. But the price Chicago wants, together with the fit, I'm cool. I'm cool with sitting that one out. I'm cool with sitting that one out. But let's see. I do think there's a situation with us, seeing what's happening around the league. But the signing of Dylan Windler was a solid two-way deal on the margins, and we continue to wait to see what other roster spots. I know he didn't impress in summer league, but Isaiah Roby is still someone who I feel can still snatch a spot. I like the ability to defend. He's 6'8". He can also stretch the floor too. When you're talking about guys on the end of the roster and the margins, you want a guy who's still young enough, could still improve, but be okay with not many minutes. The Knicks are monitoring the free agent big market. Fred Katz put out a great article on some guys to look out for. I think he mentioned 6 guys. We know there's some veterans that can contribute to this team, but I don't think it's of much consequence. There's not a lot of minutes to go around. I think with Nathan Knight, small ball, Isaiah Roby, let's also see what other rosters do and whether they cut some guys, like I said. So I know everyone kind of antsy about let's finalize this, let's balance this roster out and get us a stretch 4 or a big 4 that can block shots and stuff. But I think the Knicks are being patient. They're just waiting. A lot of the battles are going to be sorted in training camp as well. But the biggest move, most likely to come, could be the Evan Fournier trade consolidation. We don't want to lose expiring salary of that consequence too much. So look out, it's going to be a tricky deal. It might need to be a couple of players on expiring salaries coming back. Might need to be a straight 1-for-1 with what's his name in San Antonio with Doug McDermott. He's a guy who could still come in and help and be expiring as well. But FIBA coming up, if Evan Fournier has a good showing, that's really going to help the New York Knicks get, have these conversations flow a little bit more, I think. The fact that Evan Fournier hasn't played in basically 1 year is going to make things a little tricky for the other GM, so I think FIBA is big. If Fournier can come out, put France on his back, that's just going to be good for the New York Knicks coming down the pike. Yeah, salute Ricardo. I agree that the team to watch, Orlando, is on the come up, 100%. Especially in the East, we need to look out. Wagner and Banchero, together with the guard situation, they've got a lot of opportunities. Jonathan Isaac is actually a name that not a lot of us have chopped up. Injury prone, but crazy potential, great length. Jonathan Isaac could be an intriguing fit for the wing spot for the New York Knicks if the price was to come down. I'm not a fan of the injury history, so it'd have to be a cheap price for me to entertain that. But I like Isaac's potential. Definitely, he's young enough. Let's see what Orlando do. Yeah, like Luke says, salute. Dwayne Washington Jr. has been cut by the New York Knicks. He might still come into camp, but he's been cut from the two-way. I think he's free to find his destination, man. Dirty says, I'll look at it as we need someone to keep it close so that Brunson can help finish. Yep, great points. Complement the skill sets of Brunson. Absolutely. I think Brunson could be a 1B if we have a 1A. It doesn't necessarily need to be a guy that's leaps and bounds better than Jalen Brunson. If the front office is correct, they believe that Jalen Brunson can go to that next level, right, and be that superstar. We talked about it in the last show, but I also agree. I think Jalen Brunson has gears in him, and that's going to be key as well for him to get to that next level. Obviously, he needs to finally become an all-star, but all NBA is in his horizon. Best believe that. Jalen Brunson's a dog, and he can mix it up with the best of them. And a nice pairing could be this guy. Those two seem to be pretty acquainted, if I have to say. Now, Joel Embiid, another reason why I wouldn't be so concerned about the injuries with Embiid is exactly like what Dirty said in terms of we just need a guy to keep it close so that Brunson can help finish. And I honestly don't believe Philly have complemented Embiid with enough scoring. Obviously, you wear him down with his knees, 82 games. Well, what have the Knicks got that are good at 82-game season? We've got Brunson, we've got Randall, we've got a boatload of depth. That's exactly what you need to nurse an Embiid through an 82-game season. We could play Embiid 28 minutes, 30 minutes a night. If let's say Randall and Brunson are here at minimum, that's enough to win you 48, 52 wins, right? Just get to the playoffs with Embiid healthy, and then he can help take over as well, complement. So that's one thing I'm not as worried about an Embiid injury situation. It's more about what the package is going to look like. That's really what it's all about. I think the Knicks are operating with more confidence around the league. The Knicks are on the come up. Most of the league knows that. So the other GMs, they're apprehensive, helping us out. Really, they don't want to do anyone any favors, let alone the New York Knicks. So look for the leverage play. That's going to be the biggest thing. Like James Harden, Damian Lillard, what are those guys doing? They're playing their leverage right now. That's what we need a Spider and what we need an Embiid to end up doing if we're to see this next superstar land with us. It can't be I don't mind going to the Knicks. I've got 6 other teams on my list. That's not going to do the Knicks any favors. It's got to be, man, I'm not re-signing with anyone else but the New York Knicks. Get with the program. Make it happen. That's how you get that leverage play, I feel. Ricardo, salute. How do I feel about Rudy Gay? Wouldn't be mad. I don't think Rudy Gay's got much left in the tank, but, for the 13th, 14th, 15th dude, experience, I think Tom Thibodeau is, quite frankly, he's in a mode where he's wanting to win, contend, and I think he would prefer more veterans over, let's say, the Isaiah Robies and these other guys on the end of the bench, Daquan Jeffries and stuff. A lot of that just feels short term for me. I really do feel like it's a case of the Knicks still looking at veterans, and the Knicks are looking at the big man market. Dirty says Embiid got into the ECF 4 times. You give him Brunson over Harden, they push through. Yeah, let alone that. Maybe if Julius Randle is still here as well. Yeah, that's what I feel too, fam. He's old. He's older. He's not old at this stage. There's a difference. Embiid post 32, 33 is definitely going to be concerning in terms of minutes restrictions, minutes watch. Tom Thibodeau, another situation. But the play is going to happen right now. Also, on the Embiid front, we had Philly insider Keith Pompey, and he talked about, he feels like the Knicks are in the box seat. If Embiid was to land on another team, the New York Knicks are in the box seat, he feels. He's a Philly insider. So I got my own concerns over how the deal gets done, but these guys seem to think that the Knicks are going to do it. Like I said, if Morey does strip it down, what is he going to want? He's going to want draft picks again, so that he can either trade those draft picks for another star, or he can use them to rebuild. I think that there's no greater assets around the league than draft picks right now, because you can do whatever you like with it. It's basically cash free to spend. Fabian's in the house. Salute. Nathan Knight was said to be a G League lock. He won't come up unless injuries happen. The beautiful thing about the two-way spot, fam, is that it's you can have the opportunity to play in the G League when you're not getting big club minutes, and then you can also come back up if we need. But he looks more ready-made in terms of coming in. He's attacking the hoop. He's great at shooting as well. He's a mobile big man, which is great. Another similar body to Isaiah Roby, but stronger, basically. Yep. Okay, yeah, the semi-final. So Killer Dog says, where the hell's DeMarcus Cousins at? He's at Puerto Rico. Damn, dominating that. Salute to him. Kemba Walker signed in Euro. Salute to these guys. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, these guys, still prolonging their careers. Unfortunately, the league squeezed, a lot of these great players out because, age, but also, young cats coming up. That's why I think the league looking at expansion soon, and the league looking at Seattle, the league looking at Las Vegas. I saw a report, an insider report saying it's basically already done deal. The I's need to be dotted, the T's need to be crossed. But Las Vegas and Seattle is going to be coming into the league, I think, by 2025, I'd say. 2025 at the earliest, 2026 season as well. Oklahoma City Thunder are looking at building a new stadium, a new arena. So I don't know what that means. Does Memphis relocate? What's interesting, though, I did see in this report, if Seattle and Las Vegas come into the league, apparently Memphis and Portland are going to come into the East, the Eastern Conference. How would you guys feel if the Memphis Grizzlies and the Portland Trailblazers entered the East? That'd be crazy. I just can't comprehend that, having Memphis in our conference, playing them 4 times a year. That would be crazy. But the league got to do it. They've got to do expansion. You know, there's more ballers out there, more players needing spots. You know, more money, more revenue, more everything. You know, you could talk about the product. It's probably going to get watered down a little bit. You know, maybe they need to condense the regular season to 72 games, bring in expansion, and then this mid-season tourney as well. So yeah, for those that have just come through, we'll play the thing again with the Tim Bontemps quotes on Spider Mitchell. Let's get it.
But this is kind of a make or break year for the Cavs. Do you think he signs an extension right now?
I think
Not
there's no
this
chance
year.
he signs. I don't think there's
No.
any chance he signs an extension there ever. And if it was up to me, I would trade Donovan Mitchell today because I don't think the Cavs are getting as far as they hope to next year. And I don't think he's going to extend. And I think they'll get a lot more for him with 2 summers left than they will with 1 summer left. Now, I also am fully aware that's not what they're going to do. And I understand why they're not going to do it because you perfectly laid out, I think, McMahon, what their thought process was making the deal and where they sit. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. But me personally, looking at it, I think it's more likely they lose in the first round than they win 2 rounds. And in that scenario, I don't really see any world where Donovan Mitchell wants to stay there after next season. And to me, I'd be looking at it now and saying, all right, well, if we flip him for a bunch of stuff now, we can start to figure out exactly the kind of team we want to have around these 3 guys and put ourselves in as good a position as possible 3 or 4 years and now to contend. Now, I understand anybody thinking otherwise.
Fall when Donovan doesn't extend, and I'm sure he'll get asked about it at media day, and I'm sure he'll have a very good answer and maybe even a hedge answer, and that'll be interesting. But he knows how to handle these situations before. He handled it before in Utah. I don't expect him to make any proclamation. I expect him to kick the ball down the field.
Yeah, I think Tim Bontemps knows what's up. I mean, I made the point earlier too about Spider never being a free agent before. That's another reason. Think of the only 2. You've been a superstar in the league since basically day dot. Helped Utah make the playoffs in your first season, and the only 2 markets you've ever played in are Utah and Cleveland. Ladies and gentlemen, Utah and Cleveland are the only 2 markets you've ever played in. I think he's definitely going to want to explore unrestricted free agency, and the Knicks are going to be top of his list. So the noise ain't going to go away. It paid a lot, so he might want guaranteed money, so he might force it sooner. But he also might be cool with just waiting for unrestricted free agency, and picking his destination. And maybe if we don't have the cap space, we could still help Cleveland out then with a sign and trade, if we needed to clear more cap space. But yeah, I think Spider's more gettable than Joel Embiid, just because of the circumstances. With that said, I think the Leon Rose connection, the CAA fam, also. But yeah, salute to the chat, everyone out here. The streets are buzzing, smashing that like button. The 2 most realistic stars at the moment, I feel, are Embiid and Spider. I can't really see anyone else yet at this stage. Things can change quickly coming up. Paul George is still another one to watch. I wouldn't sweep that under the rug just yet, because the Clippers are in a situation where the time is now as well. So you got to look at these franchises that the time is now. Steve Ballmer, new arena coming up. The Clippers ain't playing games. They got Kawhi, can't stay healthy. Paul George, up and down. The West, the loaded Wild Wild West. And I think another situation where the Knicks could have options at the trade deadline. So don't don't get upset just yet. Don't get too crazy about what the Knicks haven't done this off season, right? It's not like the stops coming on any moves. It's fluid. There's dialogue happening all the time. There's still months to go until the season begins. The league awaits the Dame Lillard, the James Harden penny to drop, and then the league's just going to open up for business after that. We still got dudes like Oubre, PJ Washington, and a Christian Wood. Still a lot of players that can't find a spot yet because of this crazy situation. Portland's willing to drag it out. They're trying to extract every single asset they can from the Miami Heat, and that gets a thumbs up from me because anytime you can bleed the Heat, don't do the Heat any favors at all. If you want Dame time, it's time to pony up. I'm talking Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, and all of their picks, every single one. Every single pick that they can trade and every single pick that they can swap. That's what I'm doing if I'm Portland. I'm saying, nothing less, and you're not going to get Dame with that. But do I expect them to still do it? I expect them to get Dame, but they're going to drag it out until Pat Riley and Mickey Harrison and the Heat pony up as well. Right now, they're trying to get a superstar at the Dollar Tree store. Right now, trying to utilize that leverage, I think. So yeah, what else we have? We've got the highlights of Windler coming through, which is I think the Knicks have really utilized the two-way spots to the best of the ability that they can, which I'm pleased with. Nathan Knight, I've spoke to some mini fans and out there, and they were glad that he found a spot. I've seen a lot of comments saying, "You guys got a good one. He's a bull. He's a dog. He's aggressive. I think he's gonna create an impression with us. Got some great finishes. Windler are more of a wait and see kind of thing. He's a longer wing, which is something the Knicks have needed. But it's a case of who's he going to play over. So I think he's more of a depth piece. I wouldn't expect to see him get any burn at all, unless it's an injury and it's Fournier traded, and it's like who's next kind of thing. Salute to the chat, appreciate you. Situation. AP says to our host, how did you become a big Knicks fan? I would say it was early 90s, 91, 92, Patrick Ewing, John Starks. The consistency, the Knicks played with passion, they played with energy, and it was New York City. I've always picked teams that play hard, and back then, the Knicks, didn't have, the best superstars, but I love the colors, the MSG atmosphere, and back then that was all I needed, and I've been hooked ever since. Man. Buzzer Beater says, can we get Windhorst on with a live stream with EJ? Definitely can try, fam. Always trying, always talking to guests non-stop, man. Some guests are always willing to come on. The schedule just doesn't link up. Some guests are too busy, but I respect, people doing their work in this industry. It's not easy. People get a lot of requests these days. But we do have a couple of great guests lined up later this week, so look out for that. I'm just waiting for confirmation. But yeah, a couple of great guests coming up later this week. We continue to chop this thing up. FIBA basketball is coming up, and we got Q Dot in the house, who's going to be participating, as well as RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Rokas. It's stacked. Giannis might play. Nikola Jokic is pulled out, though. But Karl Anthony Towns, it appears, is committed to the Dominican Republic. The USA team's looking nice. Team Canada's looking nice. A lot to look forward to. And there will be a lot of FIBA content coming up. We'll break down the games and hopefully a lot more. So stay tuned with that. But I'm happy with Quentin Grimes. You know, three, four big Knicks providing an off season where they can work on their game. Competition, iron sharpens iron for the Knicks, right? You don't want to just stay idle for too long in the off season, right? The Knicks had a great season. They were successful, and continue the good work in terms of. I think I wouldn't be surprised if young guys are in the gym already, linking up for the off season runs. The Pro City, I saw the Knicks Twitter account tweet out that they're going to be going around the New York street ball circuit as well. So we might even see some warm-ups. I remember Brunson and Obi Toppin were doing the Pro City runs together with Juju as well. PJ signed with Dallas, says Ricardo. I'll check that out. Appreciate you for that. Yeah, like Buzzer says, smashing that like button. The streets are buzzing. Let's go. Let us know your over and under win projections for the season. I seen one Vegas outlet put us at 45 wins, 45.5. For me, I'm taking over on that easily. I think the Knicks will get to their 46, 47, 48 at minimum, I think. On that note, J Dub says, I think DiVincenzo works out. I think if DiVincenzo works out, the Spider trade is dead. I could see us not getting Spider. Definitely, I could see that happen. I think there's going to be big links, though, too. And I do think DiVincenzo's a very tradable piece. So stay tuned. And it follows up, says Mitchell would have pushed himself to the Knicks when he was in Utah. I think he was. He's not that kind of dude from what we've seen in terms of his personality. But I think maybe some more years in Cleveland could be enough for him to say, hey, I'm in the prime of my career. But I also think Spider was banking on the Knicks to just get it done. No one really saw Cleveland come out. They came out of left field, basically, with a great offer. And they capitalized, did Danny Ainge. Like I said, I think execs around the league, too, are definitely negotiating with the Knicks in a more stringent method, because they know how close we are as well. In terms of people wanting to help us, it's difficult. Yep. Yeah, fam, appreciate you. Keep smashing that like button, man. That's all you guys got to do. Drop your comments, drop your thoughts in the comment section, man. That always helps. When I'm talking to guests, that inviting guests to come on, it's all about just showing them how loyal the fan base is, how much we love to hear from them, how much we appreciate their work as well. And especially if they're complimentary of the Knicks, or wise. We talk to guests that are wise about this situation. Great point from AP too. I mentioned this previously, but you brought it up again. Appreciate you. In FIBA, we're going to get to see how guys look with other teammates and with other coaches. So that's excellent. That's great to see. How they're utilized is going to be big. I want to see Team Canada, especially with RJ, getting to that cup. FIBA's got those different rules where you can, smash the ball off the rim, all of those things. Like, it's always a live ball, live play. You can't quit. second, third efforts, like Tom Thibodeau says. Grand hustle, like T.I. says. J Boog, salute. Just saw Taj, the man from Fort Greene, at the TBT, the basketball tournament, as an assistant coach. We need to go grab him and put him a part of our staff. That needs strengthening too. Hey, facts, J Boog. Great mind, Taj Gibson. Always giving back to the game. He's a dude who definitely has a coach in his future, a coaching role, I feel like, fam. Who knows what we do with Amari too? Did you guys see Amari on the sidelines? Amari's been with Brooklyn. He's always been close with the Knicks circle. James Dolan, incredibly loyal to Amari. Loyal to a fault. He had the opportunity. The Knicks contemplated, amnestying Amari, but James Dolan didn't want to do it. He's like, amnesty Chauncey Billups, I gave Amari my $100 million. I'm a stay loyal to that. With that situation, Amari's got some coaching experience as an assistant dude, a younger dude around, maybe that these younger generation dudes can respect as well. Taj Gibson got respect from a lot of dudes, young dudes around the league too. Like basically our Udonis Haslam, with that situation, our Udonis, I think, yeah, it's a great opportunity. We also talked about recently the Knicks draft capital that I brought up on screen, courtesy of notradeclause.com. Check it out if you want to look at this, perfectly laid out graph of the Knicks draft capital coming up and these protected picks. If you want to see, okay, what are the years, the Knicks might be able to get that draft pick. It's all available there on screen and on notradeclause.com. The Detroit one is probably one that I could see conveying later in, 2026. So if the pick falls between 12 and 30, it comes to us, basically. So that is a situation that's going to be big for the Knicks to make their move on that next star that's available, right? If Embiid's available, Morey's going to want all of these, most of these with swaps too. But the pillar of the Leon Rose regime has basically been that of being conservative, I would say, being keeping all of these first round picks. You see, every single year the New York Knicks have their own draft pick, which around the league has been something that has been previously coveted. The Knicks own draft picks. None of these other teams are protected ones, but our own draft picks. Now, the Knicks will be better if we pull off a big blockbuster deal, but these picks later in the future are still picks that would have a lot of value, I think, for other GMs. Talking about 2027, 28, 29, 30, in terms of other teams maybe banking on the New York Knicks, falling off a cliff or something, which is not going to happen, I feel, but it's their best chance, possibly. So yeah, we're going to need these to do that deal. Washington's one. See, Washington are kind of in the middle. They've got Tyus Jones, Kuzma, Jordan Poole. I think they're going to be bad in the lottery, but they're going to be good enough to still win maybe 33, 36 games if things go right. I could see Washington win that. So with that said, will they be in the worst 12 teams this coming year? Probably yes. 2025, will they be in the worst 10 teams? Possibly not. Quite likely, but possibly not. Maybe by 2026 we get the Washington pick, which they have to be in the worst 8 teams in the league to get that one. That's still a long ways away. We don't know. Philly could have bottomed out by then. there could be a lot of teams that have bottomed out to rebuild. So anything's possible. And then the Knicks still have a boatload of second round picks. We have the Cleveland, Utah, Detroit second, Minnesota, Miami seconds as well. The Indiana ones we got for Obi Toppin as well. I don't know if they're on screen yet. I don't think they are. Yeah, then they're actually not. I think they're a 2028 and they're a 2030 second round pick as well. Yeah, so they're all the assets we have to go after the guy we want when he's available, right? And we wait to see what happens in Philly. James Harden putting his stamp on that franchise like he has previously. Apparently they've had a falling out. Harden and Daryl Morey, two dudes who are in lockstep. But that's what happens, when you don't come with the money. With that situation, Emmanuel quickly is going to be eligible for that extension in October. I expect the Knicks to still do it. I expect it to get it done. I think Quickly is going to be cool. He wants guaranteed money. He may not get the exact amount that he would if he waited, but I think if there's an extension on the table and it's solid, it's maybe 18 to 20, between 18 and 22 mil. I think it would be wise for Quickly to take it. We don't know if the usage with DiVincenzo going up is going to, affect his stock. I don't expect it to be too much of a risk for him. I think the league kind of knows what he's capable of, but I think to take that guaranteed money is wise. Set up your future, set up your fam, and all of that. Take into account with that. But yeah, with Morey and with James Harden, man, it's a case of Harden was expecting Morey to come with the max, like the max, back up the Brinks truck. And Morey was like, oh, I don't know, man. You didn't produce in the playoffs. I don't blame him one bit. But that's just how it is. And now it's a fractured relationship. So let's see if Harden comes into camp overweight, ready to sit out, all of those things. That's going to create a boiling point in the eyes of Joel Embiid, who's the pillar of that franchise right now, waiting. The Knicks are also monitoring, the Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Devin Booker situations, but they're not imminent. They're not coming up 1 year from now, maybe 3 years from now, 2 years from now, maybe for Giannis. We wait to see how Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday and Giannis look together on the court this year as well. A lot of pressure in Milwaukee now. The fact that they didn't win, they got ousted in the first round by Jimmy Buckets and the Miami Heat. So they got a lot to make up for. Giannis could, in fact, be a dude who starts to think about what's next for him in that franchise too. He's very much a superstar in his prime, overseas player in a big international market like New York, with all the Greek community in New York, could be something he enticing for him in the future as well, later in the future. So people talking about frustration about the Knicks being patient and Leon Rose's kind of situation. I get it, I understand, but I think fans don't see what happens behind the scenes as well. Like it ain't like they're sitting around doing nothing. I referenced the Paul George situation. The Knicks are very willing to do a deal for the Paul George, but the price was high considering Paul George wanting the 5-year extension. Right? He okayed the trade to the Knicks, but he's like, on the basis of the roughly the $220 million extension, and that was too rich for the New York Knicks in terms of a dude plus 33 years old. So Leon Rose was looking down that avenue. He's kicked the cans on the Zach LaVine. He's kicked the tires on the OG Anunoby situation, but Masai Ujiri's not playing ball. So yeah, that is what it is. It's a situation now of we we can only control what's in our control at the moment. So start the season, get off to a winning start, lock down, show the league we mean business, get out to a hot start, 5-0, 10-0, right? Get up there in the East and get some attention out there as well. Start putting more pressure, right? These other GMs need to be held accountable, because if Masai Ujiri wants to keep his guy, Chicago want to keep Zach LaVine, Philadelphia want to play hardball, then let them come into the season and deal with the consequences and see if they can start well. Because if they don't, there's a lot of pressure on them. So the way I look at it is the Knicks are betting on themselves right now. They're saying the price is too rich. I'm okay with coming back. We made a minor upgrade with Dante DiVincenzo, or maybe you level it out without Obi Toppin no longer here. We lose a bit of something, we gain a little bit of something. Maybe we're exactly where we were, but with more experience. That's another factor. Quentin Grimes, another year older. RJ Barrett, playoff experience now. Healthy from Julius Randle, hopefully. So the Knicks aren't a finished product, but they're coming into the season ready. Consistency. And let's see what happens at the deadline. We watch for the Spider and the Philly situation with Dame. Like I mentioned, the Heat are under pressure too. Bren, salute, appreciate you. We have a couple points, couple power forwards, couple centers, 0 wings, and 9 shooting guards. Fantastic. Yeah, I feel you on that in terms of the roster imbalance a little. Size at the wing. Knick fans are really treasuring that 6'9", 6'8", 6'9" wing. That is a true small forward with that situation. I think there's a squeeze with, Deuce McBride. Like, he's another guy that's not being spoken of enough. He had a taste of regular season minutes and a taste of playoffs. Do you guys think Deuce McBride's coming into the season thinking it's more likely he's going to get more minutes, or more less likely he's going to get the same minutes? I think it's less likely now with DiVincenzo up in here. So that's another situation where the Knicks' depth looks great on paper. Jericho Sims is another guy who may not play as much as well. Possibly the backup power forward is something Tibbs is open to with Jericho, because Tibbs loves at least a big who can defend, who can rebound as well, if they're not going to space the floor. Hulu salute. Both older and the younger coaches and execs around the league have respect for Tibbs around the league. I think in terms of the accolades, Tibbs is one among the older heads, has definitely got the respect. The younger coaches, I can understand that as well, just because they probably acknowledge him from the D Rose, the Chicago eras as well, trying to squeeze things out. The Trevor Keels thing is coming down. It could be confirmed. Buzzer salute. Keels, Dwayne Washington. With that, as we bring up the roster on screen as well, the Knicks do need to cut one more two-way guy. And it does look like Trevor Keels is that dude, or is going to be that dude. The Knicks, he shouldn't feel hard done by. The Knicks have given him a great opportunity. He just wasn't it. He's not it in summer league. We're giving him the guaranteed money. What else can he want at this situation? I think the consensus is he came out the draft too young. I think the Knicks also could have gone in another direction with that 40-something pick. We definitely could have got something good with that. Yeah. JB, Julian the house salute. Yeah, Dylan Windler. He's a fringe wing with Cleveland, with shooting skill set, a bit of size that we need. Wouldn't expect to see him factor in a lot, but for depth, given experience, a player who could help you in a pinch on a two-way, I think it's kind of one of the best situation we could do right now for just a two-way. Bodega says Dolan loves the fans so much, he's going to show his appreciation by giving us Tibbs for 5 more years. Let's see with that. I don't know. The money's kind of tight right now with the $2 billion sphere. The taxes going up. Dolan's been hit in the pocket recently, but let's see. I think he's going to want to see some continuous success. I think maybe they do a 3-year, a 2-year +1, possibly. But yeah, 5-year extension would take Tibbs well into his late 60s, possibly to 70 years of age. So I wouldn't be so quick to be doing the extension if I was him yet. Ricardo's thoughts on IQ in terms of whether or not a trade happens. I think Dante is his replacement. I think it never hurts to have talent on your roster as well. I know there's a bit of double up, etc. But yeah, I think the writing is on the wall with a trade at some point, with IQ being really big in his development, his skill set. He's a great prospect. He deserves to start for an NBA team, really. I would firstly love Emmanuel Quickley to stay as a New York Knick, because I love him as a player and his approach, his work ethic as a teammate. He's professional. One of the best draft picks the New York Knicks have made in a long, long time. Have to go back a long time in terms of IQ's potential. But secondly, seeing him on another team starting would be pleasing from that perspective for him, because I know that's in his calling. I think for Emmanuel, which team that is going to be intriguing. Which team values him enough to say, hey, you're a guy we're betting on. We want you as our future starter. The same way like the Hornets did with Terry Rozier, or the Clippers did, I think, with Reggie Jackson. There was some of these players on that verge of that breakout. Yeah, Dirty wants him to sell the Knicks and buy 10 more spheres. He could do a lot. I wonder what the Knicks valuation is at right now, fam. I think we'll top the charts again as the most valuable NBA franchise, mostly because of the market, but mostly because of us, the fans, the best fan base in the world, in the streets out here, loyal as anything, ready to chop this thing up at any drop of news, off season, anytime. Can you only imagine if we get this dude on screen, the Embiid buzz or the Spider situation is just going to go to that crazy level. But it's time, we deserve it now. It's been long enough. And I think by 2025, the New York Knicks will be a contender, like legit contender. There'll be no debating. Are we the 3rd seed, 4th seed? Are we the 6th seed? We will be legit contention, I think, by 2025, at the latest. I think by then, because that lines up with all the money, lines up with all these draft picks that we cannot use. We cannot draft all these draft picks. The money goes up. Jalen Brunson, the salary cap changes. Yeah, maybe the changing of a new guard in the league. LeBron might be out of the league by then. Giannis coming up. Jokic, Embiid as the superpowers. I think if Dame goes to Miami, they might have a 1 or 2 year kind of pinch at it, with Butler aging, Dame aging as well. I just don't know if they're going to have the depth. See, it looks sexy on paper, but all these dudes that need the ball, we've seen it a million times. We've seen that movie. You need guys that are willing. You need stars willing to buy in and do the dirty work. If Butler and Dame is going to be successful, they're going to need Bam Adebayo to be the best version of him, to scratch, claw, hustle, rebound, foul, injure, do anything possible to help that squad, I think. Because, yeah, winning's done on both sides of the floor, not just scoring. The Hornets, the sale went through for the Hornets. Our guy Buzzer Beater's been high on Miles Bridges. So the update, Miles Bridges signed a qualifying offer with the Hornets. They got a new owner, right? The league voted on the sale of the Hornets, and one owner voted against the sale. Guess which owner that was, ladies and gentlemen? None other than your James Dolan, the owner of the New York Knicks, was the lone vote to say no for the sale. He wanted Michael Jordan to continue to own the Charlotte Hornets, the worst owner in the league. Maybe he wants to stay clear of that title. Maybe he's just best buddies with MJ, and he just can't stand the sight of him not being at the owners' meetings anymore. Who knows? Who wouldn't want to be around MJ's presence? But yeah, I wonder what this means for MJ. Does he want to get into some kind of other ownership? Does he just want to get out the game? I haven't seen any reports in terms of like, is this just to cash in for MJ? Because I think the Hornets got a great price. I think the Hornets were valued at like 4 billion, which has to have the New York Knicks now up to 7-8 billion. We've been 6 billion recently, but yesterday's price, not today's price. Sherwin says the Knicks will be contender this year. We just needed to trade for that small forward. Hey, if Embiid comes along, Spider comes along, Paul George, OG, we will be a contender this year. That move has to come. Maybe you're foreshadowing that move to come. Yeah, the Knicks are building, circles, respect around the league among players, which is the big thing, I think. Forget about what these other GMs and executives and how salty they are. The players are the people you want to make good with, right? You want to keep winning. You want to provide an environment where the players look like they're respected, they're looked after, they're nurtured, they're developed, they're signed with the bag. All of those things, and that's what's going to get a player down here. The Villanova thing was one thing. With that, we got to roll out the carpet. Yeah, Dolan might want to sell eventually. Build more spheres. Who knows? He might want a piece of the pie with this other franchise. Word is that LeBron James is going to move heaven and earth to try to become that major or minority owner of the Las Vegas team as well. Unfortunately, no NBA franchise is majority black owned at this point. LeBron James is all about history. He's all about being a pioneer. I think he's going to rally up the troops with Maverick Carter and Rich Paul, and I think there's been reports that Rich Paul might be angling to sell off Clutch Sports. He's just been waiting to see all these big time contracts for his players signed, and boy, have Clutch clients signed the bags this off season. Get the company's valuation up and then sell, and then they all go in and they buy the Vegas team. That'd be awesome if they do, because I salute them. That'd be crazy. In retirement for LeBron, being an owner as well. Vegas has always needed a team, but Seattle is going to be interesting. The Seattle Sonics. Can you imagine if they come back? Some other talk is if the Seattle Sonics come back, Kevin Durant wants a board. Kevin Durant wants to go back to where it all started and finish as a Seattle Supersonic, where maybe when he's had his run in Phoenix, maybe when the dust has settled on that. But yeah, either way, Seattle need a team, and I think Vegas. Memphis is the interesting one. New Orleans, OKC's trying to double down and build a stadium. But talking of stadiums, one stadium that's not going nowhere is the world's most famous arena, MSG, coming back. Right, it's going to be a big year. Expectations now with 45 wins over under. That's respect. I think that's the way I saw it. At least they didn't lowball us like a 42, 43 win situation. So yeah, I'm taking the over on that 46, 7, 8 wins so far, and let's see how it looks. FIBA preseason, it's going to be popping. Luke says there must have been confused with Kylian Mbappe's 776 mil. I saw Giannis tweet that say, "Hey, Saudi team, look at me. I look like him. I look like Mbappe." That's going to be crazy. MJ got tired of the criticism. Yeah, possibly. Maybe he wants to just get back to what he's known for, too, fam. Yep. Spider, Embiid, OG, and PG. That's a lot of free agents on one squad. That's a lot. Yeah, that's very, very unlikely. But the Knicks are building with their flexibility at the moment. We're sort of on that holding pattern, which has frustrated some people. What are they? There's sayings like this. When you make $1 million, that's the hardest $1 million you're ever going to make. After that, it comes easy. I think the Knicks have been at a point over the last 4 years trying to build this foundation to where we're at, and hopefully the next part comes easier, because the initial building should be the most difficult. You build it up, and then people want to come. Theoretically, with that said, the Knicks are still relying on their connections. People said they signed Leon Rose for, his connections. When's he going to bring in that star? There hasn't been a whole lot of free agents available. One that was available, he signed with Jalen Brunson. The Spider thing, I could see both sides. He dropped the ball in some ways. Spider could have been more aggressive. And also, we don't really miss Spider for that 1 year yet as well. If it happens again and he has the chance to do it and drops the ball again, then that'll be another strike I could see. You are saving these draft picks for a run at it. Let's wait. Let's use it and not wait for Jalen Brunson to become 30 years old. You sign your first star. That's the easiest part. Now, I mean, that's the hardest part. Now you've got the easiest part, which is to land the next one. And I think there's 2 chapters of Jalen Brunson's Knicks career. There's the pre-30 chapter now, and when he becomes post-30. Now, if we're happy being more patient and waiting, you're basically accepting that the first chapter before he turns 30 is that of you just not becoming a contender. You're willing to wait it out. But if you spend these picks and you make a big trade, you go in now, you're maximizing his Knicks window as a chapter 1 pre-30 and then post-30 after that. So I think, and those, whatever player you bring in or that trade you make, if it doesn't work out, that player is coming off the books by the time Jalen Brunson is about 30. And then you can retool, reset again with draft picks again after that. So that's something to be mindful for being too patient right now, because there is that thing. There is a situation where it's being too patient. right now. You have all the cattle, you have all the players that you need right now to make that trade, all the assets. Pick which one and then just make it. I think just go for it. Now, like Toby says, yeah, 100%. We've been gearing up to this point, and at some point you make the move. It's like you climb the ladder to make that bungee jump, that leap, and then you make all that climb, and then you got to make that leap at some point. I know there's reports, especially from Fred Katz, saying they've been patient about which star, and they've obviously got their targets in mind, but you've always got to remind yourself of like the situation I recalled with the Jalen Brunson timeline, because you cannot forget about your own. That's the biggest element in here. We have a guy now who's on the verge of being that superstar, putting up 40 points in the playoffs, big time shot maker, 26 turning 27 by the time the season starts. So you can't be too hesitant basically you can't be too fearful for it not working out, because Jalen Brunson will only be 30, 31. If that player doesn't work out, the money comes off the books. You can clean slate again, all over again. But if you wait before Jalen Brunson becomes closer to 30, you're basically losing out on the chapter 1 of the Jalen Brunson window to contend with this thing. So how aggressive will the Knicks get this season? I think by the time the deadline comes, if we haven't made that big move yet, there'll either be big time buzz, or there'll be a real possibility that the Knicks make that swing at the deadline coming up. It's all going to factor into where the other teams sit and where the Knicks are currently sitting in terms of the standings. Toby says I'm taking the over for. I'm taking 50. Yep, salute. Knicks won today. I'm cool with RJ. He could hold it down for the minute. Yeah, the biggest thing I'm watching in FIBA is the coaching, how he's played with, and also the shooting. Too, fam. FIBA 3-point line is closer. So let's see. Let's see how RJ's defense comes in, and his playmaking, his attacking is going to be big. Yeah, Randall's durable coming in for that regular season. Buzzer says. Jason says RJ was a better defender before he bulked up. He needs some serious work on his efficiency. Yeah, I think shape is big coming in. If RJ does slim down, that's something I would prefer as well. He doesn't need to be so much of that bulkiness and the size. I really don't think that the OG Anunoby thing's realistic at this point, to be honest. I'm willing to put all my chips that Donovan Mitchell is actually more realistic than OG Anunoby. That's what I think of Masai Ujiri's intent to possibly do a fair deal. We've heard concrete reports from great reporters that Masai Ujiri is just asking for an outlandish demand. As I said earlier in the show, what would change that? By the deadline, if the Toronto Raptors are struggling, then I think that price comes down. So if you're Leon Rose and you're the Knicks, it makes 0 sense to trade for OG right now. We're probably going to be in the 5th seed or above by the trade deadline anyway. We don't really need OG to start the season. Let's let Toronto struggle, come out the gate slow. He's a free agent. The pressure is going to come. And then the Knicks can capitalize maybe. And also with Paul George too. That is a situation where we can take that gamble with Paul George if the price comes down. If the Clippers are, let's say, in the 9th seed, 8th seed by the trade deadline, floundering a little bit. Kawhi could be injured a little, who knows? Maybe they do say Emmanuel Quickley and a couple of picks for Paul George. possibilities do open up, which is the benefit of waiting. As I said, there's a point where you can't wait any longer, and I think it's coming soon. I think the Knicks trade deadline and next offseason is the absolute latest that I feel the New York Knicks should put all those chips in the table and just do it. The Harden thing could come before then. The Spider penny could drop. Or also, I mentioned those other two teams. Zach LaVine in Chicago is another one. Although I just think Chicago is downright delusional. I don't know what they think they're gonna. They think they're gonna be the third seed anyway with LaVine. They don't want to trade LaVine because they don't want to rebuild. Maybe I get it that they want the money coming in. Maybe they don't want to like strip it down. They gave Vucevic a lot of money as well. Let's see what happens with Chicago. Man, with that. Yeah, it's good to see the Knicks making some solid moves with the two-way though. They did the no-brainer in cutting Dwayne Washington, the no-brainer in hopefully cutting Trevor Keels. We had buzzer beater mentioned in the chat. Let me confirm. You guys let me know if there's any other confirmation. We have our the very own Mark Berman just tweet out chiming. Whoever thought Knicks off-season coverage would evolve around Dante, D, Dylan Windler, and Jalen Martin. Got to be something more going on. There's every possibility. Like I said, it's early in the preseason. Yeah, and as yet Buzzers confirmed. Fred Katz has reported that the Knicks are waiving 2022 second round pick Trevor Keels. Yeah, that was the no-brainer. I think they just wanted to help him out. And then he follows up with, this has been the most dramatic two-way contract day in Knicks history. Well, yeah, capologist Brock Aller doing work, capitalizing on what we can do. You don't have to make decisions right now. We could sign 30 two-way guys right now if we wanted, guarantee their money, and then keep them moving. That's some of the things where the Knicks are spending a little, are happy to spend. Some fans, still frustrated at the Windler signing. It's marginal. Yeah, like I said, it's building up, fam. It's coming. It's coming. We spoke about these draft picks and how, in terms of that's the timeline to look at. I mean, look at all these picks. The Knicks, not only are they less likely to make them, but their roster is stacked right now. The roster is currently full. So also the earlier we trade some of these picks speeds up the timeline for when we can get back more picks in the future as well, which is why I referenced the JB timeline with Brunson. The time is now with Brunson. He ain't getting older. He ain't getting younger. And his game's elite right now. Who are you okay with getting traded for OG? You got to give a little to get a little. I would prefer to keep Quentin Grimes over Quickly. That's just my opinion. I love Emmanuel Quickly. It's really close. I've heard a lot of people prefer Quickly over Grimes. I just think size, Grimes' ability to, he's taller, 6'5", play the two guard better, put the ball on the floor as well, and complement Brunson's weaker defensive skill set. I think I would prefer to keep Quentin Grimes, and I think Emmanuel Quickly has to be that dude to be the centerpiece. I've also spoke to some Toronto fans who would prefer Quickly as well. They need a future point guard. Fam. There's reports also Toronto have no interest in RJ too. They've obviously got Scotty Barnes. They've got other dudes as well. So let's see. RJ's got some real skills that helped the Knicks regular season, helped us in the playoffs. Could this be the big fifth year breakout? I still don't feel RJ will reach his full potential playing with Randall and Brunson. I think he would reach his full potential sooner on a team where he would have more reps. But that's not to say that he can't get close or he can't reach that potential eventually. I just think it's going to be a slower process. Things have to happen. Julius Randle has to be willing to share the ball quicker. Jalen Brunson also has to be a guy who's willing to move the ball more and let RJ go to work. Does Tom Thibodeau allow RJ to run some reps off the bench? Is also a big factor to look for as well. I think I would love RJ Barrett to get more reps on the ball. That's just going to either boost his stock or help his game elevate quicker. Could that happen if Emmanuel Quickley is out of here as well? That could open the door. I could be in the completely wrong direction. Maybe they hell for leather. They want to keep Emmanuel Quickley no matter what. There's a world where he could pair up with Brunson and do great as well. It's a tricky situation. It might even come down to who Toronto prefer. They might say, look, you could keep Quickley if we take Grimes. Or they could demand, no, we want Grimes, you keep Quickley. And then you're like, oh, okay, I guess if you're going to have a small backcourt, then you want OG, at least a defensive demon. Yeah, I also think that OG he's got that name right now. He's got that unique skill set, but is he a little bit overrated in terms of what it would take to give up? Like in terms of marginal, like if you add OG, but you took away Quickly's bench scoring, does that make the Knicks a whole lot better? It's a fair question to ask. I'm in the business of getting undoubtedly better, not are we better, are we not, kind of are we a little bit better. The next move the Knicks got to make is we've got to be undoubtedly better with that. Yeah, Pete Rod, salute, says Deuce can fill that quick role. Hopefully a big year for Deuce. Defensively, one of the best young two-way guards in the league that doesn't get enough shine. The question with Deuce for a lot of fans and scouts are, is there another level? Could Deuce be develop on the offensive side? Could he share the ball? Can he create a shot? Can he shoot better like he does shoot in the G League? Deuce McBride shoots like 40% from deep in the G League. It's baffled some scouts. People think shooting should just carry over, but I think differently. I think that the NBA defense, the contest, the length is different in the G League. You probably have a split second more to get the shot off. Also, maybe the coaching is better. Maybe the coach takes advantage of that. Keith, salute. Grimes can go. We have a better version of him in Dante, Josh, and IQ. We really don't need him. You won't miss him. It's kind of really close for me. If I had to let go of one, obviously I don't want to let go of either, but if you're getting a trade, someone has to go. By the way, if it's an Embiid trade, they're asking for both. They're demanding both. Probably RJ Barrett as well. Maybe even Mitchell Robinson. I mean, this ain't me. This is just Daryl Morey, right? You're losing. If you lose Embiid, that's the process. The process is now dead. The process is gone, and you're going to need every single asset to help you rebuild again. And I think Joel Embiid is that last ticket. While that ticket is still around before it rips, like possibly his knees. Yeah, I think it's going to be an absolute haul. There's also rumors that the Miami Heat would be willing to offer Bam Adebayo. So Let that sink in for some fans that don't want to give up too much for Joel Embiid. If you don't want to give up much, then it's the Donovan Mitchell thing all over again, and another team will outbid you. It's that simple, right? It's either you want Embiid or you don't, because you're going to have to give up everybody. It's just no other way about it. If the Miami Heat are putting Bam Adebayo, an All-NBA player, on the table to pair Embiid up with Jimmy, then you're going to have to come to play. You're going to have to come to the table with a better deal. Just the way that it goes, I think. Now, I think the Knicks have every right to be apprehensive about it. Injury concerns, all of that. All I'm saying is just don't be upset if we get outbid. Don't be saying Leon Rose dropped the ball again, or what is he doing? If you want Embiid, if he's your guy, you must put everything on the table that Daryl Morey requests. Otherwise, he's going to choose the next offer, like Danny Ainge did. I could see them wanting Mitch as well with that. Obviously they're going to need a young big man with $15 million expiring coming up in 2 years. Keith likes Windler. At least they got a wing. That was my reaction when I first saw it. I was like, thankfully someone who's not 6'3" again, 6'4", and the roster is starting to get a little bit more balanced with 2 6'3" dudes out of here. Now, we can update the chart soon, but Trevor Keels is officially cut from the two-way, and Dwayne Washington officially cut as well. So Jacob Toppin comes in. He's the only lone camp dude that we currently know about with a camp invite. I hope Charlie Brown, and I hope the center Dinamev Skapantsev gets a shot as well. But we'll also come up with next show. We'll break down some more moves from Nathan Knight and Dylan Windler. Two really solid upside gambles on a two-way, because they've got a little bit of more potential to achieve, but they've got sample size in the league as well. So, in the pinch of an injury or consolidation trade, we've got possibly some guys who could step up. There's a real world where Nathan Knight is a better prospect than Isaiah Roby, and he might be the guy to displace Roby for a regular roster spot. Let's see. The reason being, we got to consider the two-way spots are age and time restricted, so you can't keep a guy on a two-way for too long. The league doesn't allow that. So I think this is the final year Nathan Knight could be on a two-way, and it's the final year that Windler can be on the two-way as well. So, of course, Isaiah Roby can't be on a two-way because he's already exhausted his years as well. So that's one of the reasons why he's on the main roster. It's not just about talent. Look, I'm trying to win that chip too, which is why I love our players, but I don't get too sentimental. It's been, at what point is the time when it's like a 51-year title drought with assets, with young players, like a young foundational piece like Brunson? The time's coming to just to make that big trade, make that all-in move. But one advantage coming into the season is you get to see other guys boost their stock a little. You get to see, is there that small chance that they're better than what we think they are? Is there that chance? RJ Barrett becomes that all-star this year, which would be amazing, and that would probably change everything. Is there that opportunity where Emmanuel Quickly, not only does he back up what he did, but he's 10 times better than what he was? He's basically a 20-point per game scorer, a starter in the league on the real. That is an opportunity too. You got to bet on what you've got sometimes to cash in, I think. But my concern is playoffs. I tell you what last season made me realize, and I always knew this, I just never really understood it with the current team. But we all saw how different the playoffs were, right? If we win 49 games again, I'm not going to sit on here and be disillusioned that we're going to go all the way. It's going to be a case of wait and see. The coaching is a concern in the playoffs. Young players not being as consistent. That's the real concern for me. The regular season's great. Let's get there. Let's win 50 games. Let's make it. Let's make the highest seed possible. But let's hope we learn from some of the playoff experiences and the tactics and learn how different the playoffs are. Defensively and just staying healthy. I think that's the legit concern. I think guys like the Philly fans know all about it. Embiid, Harden, Simmons, they get to the playoffs all the time. But how do you think those fans feel about making the playoffs now? They're probably scarred in terms of the Simmons follies, the ball bouncing on the rim from Kawhi, the James Harden disappearing act. It's a lot of different things. I think the league's the market dictates what a player goes for. Like I said, all it takes is Miami to put Bam in the deal. If Miami don't put Bam in the deal, the Knicks can match basically anyone's offer if they like. Hell, Morey might even want Julius Randle back in the deal. And I don't have any thoughts either way as to what Leon Rose would do if that ever happened. But I can tell you, I wouldn't be mad if I still had a core of Embiid and Brunson. That's still plenty enough to build with. But I do feel, like I said earlier, I think Philly would prefer to strip it down. If they lose Joel Embiid, they would prefer a younger player, probably to Randle, or to strip it down with draft picks, young players as well. You're not building around Maxey and Julius Randle in a hurry. I think he would probably love to pair Maxey and IQ, the former buddies, alongside each other too. But yeah, great work so far with the two-way spots. Great work cutting Washington and Keels. We wait to see what's next. The Evan Fournier trade is the more major one that's more likely to come next. But I think the Knicks are running it back into the season. Give or take a veteran on the fringes. Give or take, another rotation, a smaller rotation piece in the place of Fournier. But anything else, I can't see it. DiVincenzo was just signed. The ink's just dried. Josh Hart's going to be extended. He's opted in. Like I said, a power forward that can take some minutes. And of course, possibly a quickly trade, but that would imply that it's something even bigger. So, yeah, that's what's coming down. That about wraps up the show for tonight. But salute, good work, the chat. Appreciate your salute. The streets are buzzing. Smashing that like button. And we've got some guests coming up later in the week. EJ should be coming through. Can't wait to get his thoughts on so far the moves, right? It's been a kind of static, underwhelming off-season so far, but that is because the New York Knicks have a full house, basically, of rotation pieces ready to run it back with some young players, some two-way dudes. But the Fournier situation's boiling, and I'll be shocked if there isn't the Fournier move to begin the season. However that looks is yet to be seen. But the salary is big. It's difficult. It's not as easy to move $18 million. You need a player that's also expiring, or to see if the Knicks are getting a real asset back. Fournier's value is the lowest it's been, so it makes no sense to do it right now. Possibly FIBA is the Knicks calling card to boost Evan Fournier's stock, and maybe a team around the league can see that he can still play. I think he can still play. I think he can still help a team. There's still some veterans, some young players around the league that have shaken loose, but I think the Knicks roster marginal moves might come if some good players are cut. We still got a few months remaining for this off season. Let's continue to chop this thing up. Have a great night. Salute to the chat, and let's get it on the next one. Peace.